Welcome back to another exciting edition, what we like to call the Heat Seat. Now, in the Heat Seat, we're pretty further along. I don't think I have to explain to you a trope or what a hot take is about wrestling. But if you don't know what that is, you should definitely look at the other videos because I don't think I'm going to explain it to you this time. Which I think we're all grown-ups. We're all grown adults here. We kind of have an idea what that is. But let's not dilly-dally. Today I have an amazing guest. I have one of the other 4 marks and a half. I guess there's a half somewhere. But regardless, we have the amazing spicy white bread, Pan Blanco.
Welcome.
Hello, Tyler. How you doing today, buddy? So you're mighty spicy today with the chain.
It's a little something slight.
So I suppose, do you know how the Heat Seats goes?
I have. I've been in tune.
Been keeping up?
I have.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for watching.
No problem.
And just like Tyler has, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe for more. More to come.
Mm-hmm.
But let's go ahead and jump into it. I do have a couple tropes and things here that I'd like to go over. Maybe get your opinion. Maybe I'll agree with you. Maybe I'll disagree with you. But basically, you're in the Heat Seat today. So
mighty hot.
Hopefully, put on some cold draws because you don't want swamp ass. Alrighty. So let's go ahead and start off with the first one.
Too late.
Okay. Start off with the first trope here. Let's talk about finishers that don't end matches.
Yeah.
So this happens a lot, especially today. We'll see. Well, I guess we'll use what's a good one? Oh, we used Cody Rhodes recently. If you haven't watched SummerSlam, go watch SummerSlam with Cody Rhodes faced Brock Lesnar. They went to Outback Steakhouse and touched tongues. Eloped and touched tongues. Yeah. But anyways. In that match, Cody Rhodes to win the match, I think he hit 2 crossroads to get the pin out from Brock. 3. I've just been informed it was 3.
It was 3.
Being informed? Mm-hmm. Yep. 3. 3 crossroads. But usually, funny enough, people usually go with what happened to, I don't know, but one finisher to end it all. What happened, the reason they called it a finisher was there was the end of the freaking match. What say you?
I do genuinely like the finisher idea, right? The finisher is the end-all, be-all. But then does that allow room for signature moves? Like, I'm just thinking of the 2K games, right? So you have your signature moves, which would fall under, like, kind of do it, like, throughout the match, and then your finisher is the end-all, be-all.
Right.
But, I mean, let's take into fact, like, Jake the Snake, right? Like, only one person has ever kicked out of his finisher.
The DDT.
Correct. So, I mean, I feel like wrestling should revert back to that. I think it's a good idea. I like the idea.
Protect the finisher.
I do too. I think protecting the finisher would be a good idea. It's tough though at the same time, right? Because we have that split between traditional professional wrestling and what sports entertainment is nowadays.
Yeah.
And I feel like sports entertainment has taken that aspect of like the finishing can either be it or not. And it kind of puts you on the edge of your seat, right? It kind of gives you that like that moment of like what could happen. And so that's the only reason why I see it that way. But I think in a traditional wrestling sense, where these two competitors are both at the top of their game and someone has to win, I think the finisher should be the end all be all. Okay. Especially a good end of the story too, right?
Gotcha.
So if the finisher knocks them out and they're pinned from it, that should be the end all be all.
Now you mentioned we'll circle back here. You mentioned signatures. You said how the finisher should be the end-all, be-all. How would you, like if they told you, hey, you're running wrestling, what the hell would you do with the signature?
With the signature?
Yeah.
Like me personally?
Yes.
Oh, it'd just be like probably 5 or 6 deep sixes. Because that's how I would roll.
No. I mean, like if they told you, hey, you're the one that's running wrestling now. Like you're not the booker, you're the god of wrestling or whatever. Not JBL, but the god of wrestling. So let's say, hey,
how wrestling should be.
Yeah. The finisher ends the match.
Yep.
You mentioned signatures. We're going back to the games, I guess. How would you place the signature if you were to organize it yourself?
Like throughout the match?
Yes.
Like you're talking about timing?
Yes.
Okay, so in timing, I mean, it depends on the competitors, right? There's a lot of different aspects I would see that. If it's obviously like a brute versus cruiserweight, I think the signature can bust out almost immediately. But then again, if it's a good match together and like the signature snuck in, like think of Randy Orton and his RKO. Like that out of nowhere is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Like any given moment, it could happen. And that's what I think a signature should be, not necessarily a finisher, right? So I think the signature should be snuck in a way, but not necessarily always obvious. Like I can understand certain people's signatures, like let's say Cody Rhodes. I mean, the crossroads I feel like is more, I mean, it's not a signature, right? It's his finisher.
It's his finisher. I mean, it has some setup, but
because it's kind of it's a flashier move, right? Where you kind of have to stop, show what you're doing, and then do the move.
It's a spinning cutter.
Yeah, but it's not like a quick thing usually.
No,
it's more of a showman type move. So I feel like we'll put it to that then. A showman type move where you're actually giving the crowd time to react. That should be your finisher. Versus a signature should be kind of snuck in or done quickly.
Like a random, like boom here.
Like let's just the first person that popped into my head. Let's say like Jeff Hardy. Twist of Fate, signature. Because it's quick, easy, kind of can get into it at any given time. But the Swanton, definitely finisher.
Definitely finisher. Okay.
So I mean that's how I would look at it.
Fair. No, that's fair. I mean, hey, you're in the heat seat, so you're the one with the hot take here today.
Hey man.
It's all you. Alrighty. So fair enough. We'll move on to the next one here. Here's another one. Rivalries that never end. So we have these two people. Like, I'll give you an example. We'll do Miz and Dolph Ziggler from like 2015 to 2018.
Okay.
They were basically forever rivals. What do you think about somebody that was constantly feuding with somebody? We'll even do Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. There was a time where they were feuding forever.
Always.
Yes.
Now, are we talking shoot?
No, I mean,
because this could be like Savage and Hulk Hogan, right?
Yeah.
Where it's real.
Well,
like,
they worked into a shoot, but yeah.
They did not like each other.
No.
Anytime you mention the two in the room, like it's like they can't be in the same room.
But I mean more in the sense of, hey, we're working together for the next 5 years. How do you feel about people constantly going at odds with each other? Like, I know for me, after a while, it gets stale. You're like, I don't even want to see these guys on the screen. Get them the fuck away from my TV.
I understand that. I see what you're saying. I guess my issue is the story has to be there, right? The story has to be implemented to the point where it's like, I want to see what's going on.
Right. Now,
if it's been a couple years, like, I guess the first people that pop into my head is like the whole bloodline thing that's going on in WWE, right? Like, I feel like we're at the tail end of it, but it still hasn't ended 100%. I mean, yes, it has, and yes, it hasn't, right? Yeah. It's kind of, we're in this gray area again. And so they can milk that gray area for as long as they need to, really, until they either bring somebody back or some storyline gets kind of meshed in a way. Yeah. You know, there's going to be some sort of integration back into it. It's tough to say. In some instances, I like it. In other instances, I don't. But the story has to be driven to the point where I'm invested, and then it won't be the first thing I think of every time I see them.
Gotcha.
Right? So
you're saying it's okay as long as we have a direction, we have a story that drives us from point A to point B, and basically we get to an end goal.
We could take stops. There's an end goal, right?
Right.
There's an end goal of it being the Mania match or whatever the case may be, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a straight line, right? It can kind of deviate a little bit or maybe include people and drop off others. And like, there has to be a solid line there that kind of depicts like these two don't like each other and this is why.
Oh, like the Lashley Rusev cuckening storyline where they drop Rusev.
Yeah, one of the main guys in the story.
Yeah. Perfect.
That's booking right there.
Alrighty. Awesome.
That's so funny. Okay, so that's a bad example, right? But
yeah. Fair enough.
At the same time, there's plenty of other great examples that have these rivalries go on for so long. So that's a good one, though.
Yep. Alrighty. And then we'll get to the last one here. What's one hot take?
My own hot take?
Yeah, one.
Man.
One that you're just like, you'll say it and people wince. People want to take you out back in the alley, want to give you a piece of mind.
I know where this is going.
All right.
I have an issue with some women wrestlers, right?
Okay.
I feel like wrestling has developed in a way that caters to men's physique and men's ability, right? Or men's ability. I'm not saying that women can't do it. I just don't think that they have had enough time to progress to where men have, right? So, I mean, like, think about it. Let's just count into flips, right? We got guys that are doing 2 flips in a row and, landing on the mat. 3. Well, you see what I'm saying, right? I don't think I've ever seen a woman do 2 flips yet, or in general.
2 topes back to back or whatever.
Whatever the case may be, right? There's so many different, like, I mean, strength is obviously involved, right? It's part of the sport. It's one of the things. Like, we've seen Beth Phoenix pick up 2 different women and slam them, right? But we see that I'm just saying like 2 different entities or 2 different people. Right, like we've seen Cena do it. We've seen a bunch of people do that. And it's just strength based, which I understand. But just the ability aspect and the way that they differ is what bothers me, right? Yeah. I feel like sometimes we watch a lot more botches from women's wrestling Sometimes it's good.
Fair.
Sometimes it's funny.
It's quality.
Yeah, it's quality, right? It's not a bad thing. It just happens. It's part of the sport.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, when you see a guy, like a man botch a thing, you're like, oh, fuck, that was bad. Like, that was bad. Yeah. And then if they go up and try to redo it, and you're like, no, just move on. Next move.
Move on.
Next move. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. Like, I don't hate it. I can't say that I hate it because that's not true. I have a lot of favorite women wrestlers. And they all have their own unique abilities, right? They have things that cater to the way that they wrestle.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one thing that I appreciate, obviously. Fair. But at the same time, like, there's a fine line. There's a fine line.
There's a fine line for Tyler in women's wrestling.
Yeah.
Fair.
I'm being swayed more and more. I mean, we're getting into those modern, I guess, I don't want to say abilities. That's not true. But we're getting into this modern time where women has had more time to wrestle, right? I mean, it's relatively recent that they've been able to do this.
Fair. I mean, we can talk about recently. We'll talk about that triple threat at SummerSlam.
That was incredible.
Bianca Belair, Asuka, and Charlotte.
Yeah, incredible.
It was a banger of a match.
Incredible.
Man. They tore the house down. The finish was insane.
Finish was
I mean, Io did cash in, but I mean, the whole match through and through, it kept me on your toes, honestly.
I really enjoyed it. I loved it a lot, honestly. Yeah. So, it's just one of those things.
Well, thank you so much for joining me here on the Heat Seat. Any closing statements, arguments, thoughts?
I'm feeling toasty. I'll tell you what.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for joining us here. Remember, give us your hot take. Tell us what you think about Tyler. Tell us what you agree. Tell us what you disagree.
Yeah.
And maybe
let me hear
it. maybe we'll go down a ditch. I don't know. But anyways, but remember, like, comment, subscribe, and remember that check bounces. So do you.